Okay, hey, welcome back to the Mellow Vybes channel, where we help introspective, creative, freedom seekers start living the life that they desire, have better relationships with themselves, with other people. It's about self-development. I know I missed some things there, but I haven't said like what my channel is about in a long time because I've just been doing like little vlogs and whatever and just talks, which is fine because that's what I've been feeling like doing. But I was inspired last night. I had all these thoughts because I was watching Kempire from last week, and I just started watching him. I like him, and they were recapping the Real Housewives of Dubai, which is like my show. Oh, and it's tonight. It's Wednesday. Like I don't know. I get happy about it. I'm like, I love to see the luxury. Um, but they were talking about. There was a question like Kempire asked like about Ion's session with hypnotherapy um, and I'm a hypnotherapist, so I did leave a comment. I wanted to talk about it. Um, I'm not gonna get into like the female genital mutilation of it all. I remember learning about that in college, and it was just like so traumatic to even read about. So I can imagine going through it, and that and dry sex, which I had to do a presentation on. It was horrible. Um, but the hypnotherapy part, I know Kempire asked like how long. I wonder how long that lasted, like the effects of that. Um, but I will say like if she kept going, then it would, you know, then it would be, a lasting effect. So that was one session. She said she was going to keep going back, and depending on like when you're doing hypnotherapy, if you're focusing on one thing, one area, it'll take like 3 to 6 sessions, maybe seven. Seven would probably be the most to fully um, have that be effective. So, and it depends on like also if your hypnotherapist gave you some tools that you can use going forward to like check in with yourself and all that stuff with your mindset. Uh, Otherwise, I mean, if you're going about the same thing, I'm not going to say that it was an effective session for anything, not just hypnotherapy, for anything. Like, it boggles my mind people are going to therapists for years, and I'm like, are we talking about the same thing? Because then this is not working. Um, but with hypnotherapy, what I like about it is I can, do one thing at a time. And it matters with like how the hypnotherapist is treating what you're working on. Like, what is your goal? What is your objective? Because how I was taught and how I was trained, I just became certified more than 3 years ago, but I've been doing hypnotherapy since I was a teen or a preteen. I was like 12 or 13. And I guess maybe I was taught this way. I can't remember. It was a book I was reading how I learned hypnotherapy when I was young. So maybe I was taught this way back then. But I always focused on what I wanted to achieve, not what I didn't want to have in my life. And it's always about focusing on the positive. So it's really easy for me to just think about the positive aspect of what I'm working on when I'm doing hypnotherapy. I know a lot of times, like, how we are like conditioned in society is to always think negative, which in some aspects of my life, like that is maybe like a first response too, like everybody else. But like I always have to like catch myself and like retrain my mind. But with hypnotherapy, if I'm like, what do I need to work on? It's going to be the positive thing. That's what's going to make sense when you're doing these sessions, um, because what you focus on grows. I had a severe amount of social anxiety. I still, I was just thinking about the other day. I was like, I still actually have social anxiety that I just am realizing with certain situations. And I was like, oh, because I didn't work on those certain situations. I didn't necessarily like work on, I don't want to have anxiety anymore. I worked on the things that I wanted to achieve where my anxiety was coming up, if you get what I'm saying. So like I had anxiety around performing, but I always wanted to be a performer. So I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like I want to get this solo in chorus class. And therefore I did a hypnosis for myself that I listened to for about a week, um, where I walked myself through auditioning and getting the part. And then I got the part. And then I've been performing ever since. And I've been auditioning for things ever since. I don't really like auditioning for things, but I can do it. I don't like have that, anxiety come up. I wanted to, this is like when I first started doing hypnotherapy when I was young. I wanted to get the number of that cute guy that I really, really liked. So I didn't focus on the anxiety that I felt doing it. I focused on like, I go up to him, I talk to him, like I get his number. And then that's always been a thing. My friends are always like, you're so bold, you're so bold. You, always are, going up to these guys and whatever. I mean, not anymore, I'm engaged, but like for the longest time, it was just like, I would go to somebody like, you're really attractive. I think you're really handsome. Just wanted to tell you that. Or like, you're really cute. Like, can I have your number? And that was always easy for me because I worked through that in my hypnosis, my self hypnosis. So now I see like there's other things that I can work on with my self hypnosis in other areas where anxiety does come up. Sometimes I get social anxiety just like being around my own like family. If I haven't like talking to them or something, calling them on the phone, like I talk to them maybe the same three people. Outside of the same three people, like I start to feel like anxiety come up. So like that's a hypnosis that I need to do for myself. I don't think I've done a hypnosis on myself in a year or so, maybe. No, probably maybe a couple of years. Or whenever like I've done my recording, like any of my hypnosis, um the hypnoses that I have in my hypnosis bundle that you can see on Mellow Vybes, I have done I do on myself before I put them out. But that's more general, so that's not specific to me. So as the ones I'm saying that are specific to me, it's been probably a few years since I've done a self hypnosis. So that's something I could do. Um, so the ones that I have, like I said, they're general, and it is worth it to like work with somebody that is like one on one, who's gonna know you, who's gonna know like how you receive things, your representational patterns. Because when I do like the hypnosis and the hypnosis bundle, um, they work, but they're not going to be specific to you, where it'd be even more effective. So like when I say representational patterns, like there's ways that we receive things, right? So like you may be more of a visual person, or you may be more of a kinesthetic, auditory, digital, like thinking. So I will try to hit on all those things when I'm doing a general hypnosis that's on my website. So it might be like, if you're working on like you want to be able to perform, I'll say for instance, like envision yourself in a red dress and you're on stage and you see the crowd and they're looking at you, waiting to be just inspired, and that just fuels you or whatever. And maybe you're distracted because you're like, I would never be in a red dress, or like I don't I don't care that they're like that I'm looking out into the crowd. Like, how am I feeling in this moment? So like if you're more of a kinesthetic person, I might focus on like how do you feel, not versus how what are you seeing, or versus what are you thinking. So I might make all the references to stuff like um, you know, auditory, because you're more of a like, what are you hearing right now? What sounds are like, do you hear the beat of your heart? Do you hear the people talking in the crowd and chanting your name? I might just focus on auditory things because I know you're auditory. So that's what I mean when I say it's more general, because I'm focusing on all those things instead of just like one. So and that happens for me like when I'm listening to maybe I'm listening to somebody else's hypnosis that I found on YouTube and I want to like listen to it, or a guided meditation, which are similar and you can, but they're different and you can check out the differences. I have an article that I wrote about it a few years ago on my website mellowvibes.com. My written works, you will be able to see it's like guided meditations versus hypnosis. They work on different brain waves. So but they're kind of similar. So there are times where I'm listening to something and I'm like, well, I wouldn't do this. So like so I drift somewhere else to like what would work better for me, which is why it is better to just work with somebody who knows you specifically, or do your own self hypnosis. I do have a class on that that I teach live through Anaya Wellness, which is in the description box as well. And I do have it, like if you go to mellowvibes.com again, I have a link to my Etsy page, and I do sell a pre-recorded session, a pre-recorded class. I have of that class on how to do a self hypnosis, so you can work on making it specific for yourself. Like I always want to make sure I'm teaching people how to help themselves. I mean, you could see the same person for a long time, but we should be working on different things. You should have already moved past this thing after max 7 sessions, like and so like I said, the hypnosis that I've done with myself since I was like 12 or 13, like I have not had to like revisit that. Like I'm good. So So that's how effective hypnosis is. Uh, and I was like doing that for a week, like making my own hypnosis tapes when I was young. Um, so like yeah, I love like answering questions like these. I said before, like I'm not gonna be making a bunch of hypnosis videos. Like if somebody asks me a question, then we can talk about it. Um, but I am thinking about maybe doing like a hypnosis Q&A on Anaya Wellness. It's something I'm thinking about. Might replace my how to do a self hypnosis class with that, or add it. I'm not sure yet, but trying to refresh some of my classes that I've been doing for a while, even though yeah, because like the other two are the most popular, so maybe I might refresh that one. So anyway, I think that kind of answers the question I really wanted to that was asked by Kempire, and I just wanted to like give that information. I'm glad like hypnotherapy has come up a few times on that show. It's come up, you know, in other things. I'm glad people are like, you know, discovering it or rediscovering it or whatever, because how I became certified, like this is something I've been doing for myself since I was young, over 20. I'm like, how old am I? I'm 36 now. Like 20 plus, 20 something years that I've been doing this. And then you can see like probably 3 or 4 years ago, I did a video on like, I guess how I got certified or whatever. And I say like, it kept popping up in things that I was watching, people referencing hypnotherapy. And then I was like, oh yeah, like this is something that I do, and maybe I could like do it for other people, because it just became part of my practice. I've been doing it since I was a kid. It was something that I did for myself. So yeah, I hope that answers any questions you may have on hypnotherapy, and if you have any more, you can leave them in the comment section. And yeah, that's it. Peace and mellow vibes.